Welcome, Illumineers. We're back again with ITL video. I think this is like eight now. I think we
Maybe.
did
Yeah.
five. We did five originals, and then this is the third color that we're in. We're doing the Emerald video, and I have Metzboomer here from Team Ohana, and then of course we have Cardboard Castle Jose as always. They're going to be going over some spicy new deck lists from set 7, with also going over some of the tried and true lists that we've kind of seen over literally the existence of Lorcana. So I'm gonna hand it over to them, and they're gonna kick it off for you guys. Have fun.
All right, Matt. So first of all, let's talk about a little bit about what just emerald color cards do, kind of the color identity that we've talked about before. I mean, the way I always think about them are they're kind of the cards that are harder to interact with, and they have so many different like types of effects to them that you kind
Yeah,
of get like
yeah,
kind of a
definitely.
toolbox feature.
Yeah, it's like those. They make it hard to play against. Whether it's they have ward, so you can't target them. Whether it's you have to do X, Y, or Z when you challenge this character. It definitely they make it difficult to play around a board state. Um,
Yeah, and we see a lot of evasive and some discard and different mechanics like that. So yeah, just and we'll go right into this deck list here. Of course, like so we'll start at the kind of the lower end here. We have Fred, which as we just mentioned, Fred when it's challenged or banished in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. So
yep.
that's
So people got to make a decision. Like, do I challenge this and get it off the board now? Do I have an action that can take care of it? Um, or do I just let it quest for when I return and ignore it? That happens.
yeah. I mean, I've played games where Fred has single handedly won the game for me because my opponent's been too afraid to challenge into it, and so I'm gonna gain lore, and then when they finally do banish it, it's gonna get 2 more. When they finally realize, okay, I can't let this sit here any longer.
Yeah, if they don't find an action for it or another way to remove it without challenging, yeah.
So
Um,
Fred, very good.
yeah, there's a lot of these cards that are staples in green decks. You've seen Morph in a lot of them. Anything, he's very not specific to green, but he is green, so he's in this video. Um, he anything can be shifted onto him. So we do have Shift Jasmine. Um, don't have any other shift cards in this, so maybe that they really want to shift into the big Emerald Jasmine and get that bounce going, because a lot of this
Right.
deck is focused around bounce. Whether it's you got Kid in there, you got Mother's Knows Best, you can double sing with Ursula. Um,
Yeah, the double
and
singer Ursula is absolutely a great card. The ability to be able to do that twice, especially when we've seen it paired a lot with different decks of steel where they can double sing, all these damaging songs. It goes really crazy with like Let the Storm Rage On.
yeah, and it's not in this list, but Bibliopic Boo also works super well with the Amethyst cards. If you want to double bounce a goat, you can get a bunch of lore. But that's not in this specific list. Also with the bouncing at the Chromacon, so anytime they challenge into you, you can just bounce something. Um,
Yeah. Again, a lot of
big,
kind of these things that are hard to interact with. We have the 2-drop Ursula that when it's played, you get to look at your opponent's hand and discard a action or a song, or it's just a song,
just a song,
right?
yep.
Just a song. Well, yeah, I guess all songs are actions. But again, that card has been really clutch in a lot of lists for a long time. Being able to kind of snipe a song from your opponent's hand, whether it's been against Amber Steel song or we've seen a lot of Ruby Amethyst being able to take the B prep out early has been really, really good.
Or just wait till turn 6 and just play it, and they are like, oh, there goes, you're going wide and you play one, and then they have no answer after you rip the B prep.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really good for that.
and it always angers them. So as purple red has been a thing forever, yeah, Ruby Amethyst, it's been nice to be able to rip those beat preps. So that deck's kind of maybe fading away. We'll see. It's
Yeah,
early
it's
in the
not
set,
Not as
but
prevalent yet, but it seems to have a way to kind of rear itself.
it's never gone away. It's always been there. But same as this, this Emerald deck here. It's always been around. I think every set since set one, it's been maybe not a top tier deck, but it's been around, and you gotta prepare for it in some ways because it can go super fast. It can be aggro-y. It can be bouncing and control-y, or evasive and more. There's so many different ways that it can.
This deck has been really good, like you said, for a while. We see this is one of Corey's lists from Team Ohana. So like I said, he plays this one. I do like the 3-drop Drasbin. Being able, that was kind of I think in Shimmering Skies and Azurite Seas when we started seeing these kind of modal play cards that we have where you get to choose either or.
Definitely excited for this deck and see how it evolves with set 7. This is just a set 6 list, but I don't think it's going to completely go away. We'll definitely see it, but we can probably move on to our next deck list, which is we have Emerald Sapphire. So this is also another set 6 list from SSG 10K. This is the Bend to My Will list, which is kind of the key card that it focuses around. So similar to the last deck we looked at, it wants to bounce everything. So we have tons of bounce cards with Gothel, Genie, and then you make them discard them all so they can't do anything.
Yeah, again, a lot of the discard. We've seen a whole lot of that with Emerald. I see my favorite card, the Genie on the Job. That's my favorite card still. 6-drop. When you play it, it's able to bounce something back to the opponent's hand, and it has evasive, quest for 2.
And it quest for 2. Yeah, it's just slap one ward there too, and that just card be real broken. But
no way to interact with it. We see the big Clarabelle. That's the one that refills your hand at the end of turn to the amount of cards that your opponent has. That's a very strong effect, especially with kind of these decks where you're kind of burning your hand up really fast and you're kind of out of gas, but Clarabelle comes through and lets you just get back as many cards as your opponent has.
Yeah, and that it synergizes with the bounce that you want to do anyways. So you may have muses out, you bounce something, let them draw some cards. They have 8 cards in their hand, you have 1, you get to draw up to 8, and then you're probably going to hit a bend. So they have 8, they draw to 9, and then they better dump it or else you're going to dump their hand. So super fun deck. This deck's, I think we'll add Ink Geyser to it in set 7 because this is a set 6 list, and then some other blue card or sapphire cards to go with it.
I like the Muse in this because you have the ability to sing Mother's Knows Best as a 3-drop, bounce something back, and then the Muse's effect will trigger, and you'll get to bounce something with 2 strength or less back as well. So it's kind of a 2.
Yeah, because Mother's Knows Best can hit anything, and then you can just bounce something else with 2 power.
Can also sing You're Welcome just to get anything else off the board at the cost of
that and Bruno just anything. There's no limit strength wise or anything to target.
Yeah. So and again, You're Welcome synergizes with Clarabelle because if you're giving your opponent the cards end of turn, that's 2 more cards you get.
Yep, and then we have Cricky, who is probably real good just clearing off board states because you have the little stuff, and if you got an aggro deck with a bunch of 1/4s, just clear them out, and then also quest for 3, so they have to focus it down.
Yeah, I mean it's 3 strength to every character you have for when it's played. So again, that's good for clearing off some of those big locations like McDuck Manor or Library, things that are typically out of your reach in a deck like this. So I mean, it's very, very vital.
Any other cards you want to talk about this?
I'm interested. I like the Peter Pan, the 7-drop Peter Pan. Enters exerted, and while it's exerted, each opposing player can't gain lore unless their character has challenged this turn.
Yeah, so they don't have to challenge for your hand, but they have to challenge something of yours.
Something somewhere.
So if you bounce all their stuff, if you're playing against Amethyst or something, they can't goat you for the win. They can't do anything like that. So it could just shut down decks that otherwise could instant win.
And at a 4-6 stat line, it's pretty healthy too. So I mean, it should.
Yeah, and inkable if you need to ink it. So a lot of
I do
those
like that card.
good cards are not inkable, which is unfortunate because you got to keep that count down.
There has to be some drawback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the list that apparently the Forbidden Mountain took to SSG to the 10K. I'm gonna get the letters right in a minute here. That's like I said, I do like this deck, and I do think the Emerald Sapphire combination is definitely going to be a lot more prevalent coming up in the new meta in set 7.
Yeah, I hope to see it. I think almost everything with Sapphire seems to be broken. We'll focus on the Emerald right now. But yeah, it looks good, and yeah, it's going to evolve a little bit like every deck will to have to deal with the item decks that are everywhere.
And like you said, when you include the Ink Geyser in this, other Emerald cards you think about, like I know there's a line of playing the Ink Geyser with Prince John's Mirror that makes your opponent discard down to 3 at the end of the turn. There's a lot of room, a lot of fun to be had with this color combination.
For sure.
All right, we'll take a look at another one of our deck lists here.
So this is a set 7 list. This is from the SSG at opening weekend this last weekend. And it's almost the same greens or emeralds steel list that we've seen a lot of these cards throughout sets 3, 4, 5, and 6. But it is adding the new Pirate Pete, which is a big body that we can shift in, and he also turns off singing when he's exerted. So.
And he gives pirates +1 resist. I'm not sure how many of these are pirates other than Mr. Smee. But I mean,
that does synergize with Smee, so he's not hurting himself.
That's what you want to do. Protect Smee. Metz, you're a big. I know you've played a lot of Emerald Steel.
I have, yes. That's what I've pretty much been on since Bucky and before. So rest in peace, little buddy.
Do you anticipate keeping on with Emerald Steel through set 7?
I definitely want to test a similar list to this. I see they included Benjas. I probably want to cut that card because the Sapphire stuff that uses items, they just have both Tomatos that can get it back. So I think I would cut that, and I probably want to see some amount of Muses to get that bounce and clear off the board. Plus, you can bounce your own Lucifer and kind of cycle that discard. So you can like sing a sudden chill, bounce your Lucifer back, and make them discard again, and just keep their hand empty. This list is a lot of lists have recently gone bigger back to the Morph Beast shift line because I think it's because there's less Medusas in the meta, because Medusa used to just kill it, and there's a lot of like item list and stuff that it doesn't have a whole lot of removal, at least on the Ruby side of things. And of course, if you open Diablo into Diablo, that's extremely strong. Just discard any action.
The Diablo shift into Diablo is sort of such a good classic move at this point, and of course,
yeah, I feel like Cove could probably also be added back in here because that's if you can Cove on 2, that turns off a lot of the 2 damage steel actions that can kill it, whether it's Storm or Strength is usually 2 damage on turn 2 or 3, unless they drop 3 1-drops in like a Steel Song list.
And it's starting to speed up. We see like the Sapphire, 3-drop Bell on turn 1 to be able to Storm. So
yeah,
not a bad idea.
that deck's gonna be a problem. But yeah, I don't think Benja's the answer. Maybe we find some other item removal. This deck does have steel for that, which is, I don't know if any Does any other color have strictly item removal? I know steel's the main one.
I think it's not limited to steel, but I think it's pretty much just such a part of its identity that I don't think a lot of other colors have. Maybe one or two other cards outside of steel.
Yeah, so this deck is solid. Clearly, it made 5th place.
Some of the other
And
cards that I did want to explain, so like so for the people that aren't aware for whatever reason, but 1-drop Diablo, when you play that, you get to look at your opponent's hand. Huge, especially like I said, if you're able to shift that into the 3-drop Diablo that is evasive, and when it's exerted during your opponent's turn and they draw, you draw as well. Sort of.
So you get one automatically no matter what because they have to draw, and if they can't remove it immediately, it kind of just turbos your hand.
And especially like I said, now all the Sapphire items and draw power they're going to have going forward for right now is going to be incredible for Diablo decks.
Yeah, and also your welcome could also remove items. I believe that's not strictly characters, so we could technically add that if we wanted some type of item removal, but it's a weird spot in this deck because this deck has a lot of 3-drops.
What's a 4? It's a 4-drop.
Yeah, so like I'm talking about this has like for to sing that song.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of awkward because you have like all the 3-drops and then actually there's no 4-drops currently in this list. But if we added like a Muses, there would be. I'm personally off of Ursula's a little bit. I played 2 or 3 in my list because the 2-drop Ursula, because just kind of how the meta is, and that will continue to change, of course. But it could against Sapphire Steel because they're running 11 or 12 songs right now. That could actually be good versus them. To if you're on the play, you could rip that out before they sing it with the bell.
That's true.
So maybe we can stay at 4.
And of course we see kind of the discard package of the 3-drop Prince John with Ward. Whenever your opponent discards a card, you can draw a card. Synergizes super well with Hypnotize and Sudden Chill both, which are going to make your opponent discard a card. Hypnotize will let you draw a card from that discard or from the discard.
So it says draw 2 and
yeah,
they discard 1. It's great. And Prince John on 3 and any of your 2-drops singing Sudden Chill, you get instant value out of the Prince John in case they do have some type of sweeper that can hit Prince John behind Ward.
and sort of
if there's newer players out there, Ward is only a targeted. It stops you from targeting it. So if they have something like Grab Your Sword or Be Prepared or like a big Sisu, you can't do anything about it. So it's really nice to get that instant value.
Hopefully everybody has watched our video about all the game mechanics.
You never know who is new to the game, so just want to.
But if you haven't, go watch
all the audiences.
Little plug there. The last card I wanted to point out here was We Don't Talk About Bruno, the 5-drop song. Returns a character to the opponent's hand, and then they discard a card randomly.
Yeah, so that card is kind of random if they're not empty-handed, but it's also a good way to just clear out a character that we can't deal with otherwise. A lot of the big resist characters or big bodies are hard for us to deal with because as you see a lot of the stuff until you get to that big Pete doesn't have more than 2 power. We have Beast with 3, can go to 7, and we have Smee, but if you are fighting stuff with Smee, it's just going to banish itself at the end of the turn most of the time. So it's hard for this deck to get rid of locations with high power or stuff with resist that's going to just sit on the board. And like the Shift Cindy comes to mind, it's pretty difficult to deal with this deck. So if you can just Bruno it and make them, hopefully discard that card or Bruno it and just make them replay it, slow them down a turn.
Right. Or get the value off of a Prince John.
Yeah, that card said, if they sing something or play a song and then they just attack your Prince John who's not exerted, then that's we just lose the game there. So
I love that part of Pete's new identity is just no more songs. Like between these 2 cards, just no more songs.
You can play Pete on 3 to turn off all actions, and then you can shift your Pete on 4, quest him right away, so you get 2 lore. And it says you can't sing stuff anymore. And is that all? Is it both you and your opponent can't sing? or is it just opponents?
I think it's opponents for Pete. I
I, ho-
gotta look back at him and see.
I hope so. Okay,
But,
opposing characters, perfect, because that would
opposing-
be bad for our stuff because we do play 15 songs. So,
But again, I love that.
yeah,
Like that's just part of Pete's identity. I love. It's funny. We know DJ absolutely hates Diablo with passion, but you're sort of the Wario to his Mario because I know you love Diablo so much.
yeah, I do. I think I mean, it's a great card. Again, it can definitely be killed easy or banished easily. It's only got 2 toughness.
But it's
But
something that's got to be answered.
if they don't answer it right away, then all right, well, I'm getting a ton of cards, or they have to play awkwardly around it, especially Amethyst decks where they're almost everything they do, they want us to draw cards, especially early. And of course, it's got the removal suite with steel, so we do have to interact with decks in some way to remove their stuff. So those 8 songs are kind of staple removals, and almost everything of ours can sing it. Because you have Ursula who can and Smee who can't, but outside of that, you're shifting on Diablo, you're shifting on Morph, and then
Everything else is covered.
Yep.
I like it. That's Kylie's deck from Southside Gaming, the 10K tournament.
Yeah, it's made 5th place, so it lost in top 8, but it was the top seed of those 4 top 8 people. So
good showing for Emerald Steel right now, though. Like it.
Hopefully the deck can evolve because it didn't get a whole lot of cards, as you see here. It's got 1 new card from set 7. Hopefully we can maybe find some other cards in there and test them out and get them in there. But it's a solid, list that's been around for a while, but a lot of people dislike playing against it because of what we've talked about with discard here and just.
This is probably like the most historically irritating deck in Lorcana.
Yeah, it's been less bad, I think, since Bucky got errated. But yeah, people still sit down and are like, gotta play against this, even if it's not the best deck in the format. It
strikes a chord.
But I think the new Sapphire Steel is going to end up having that before long because it just plays solitaire.
We'll see if it makes us enjoy playing.
We need to find counters to it. Like I find them on Platinum, or that card kill to banish all their items. That we may need to have that on our list, but again, that's a 4-drop, and those are awkward in this list. But
let's see. Let's take a look. We got another deck list here to check out. This is interesting.
This is the spicy list. I like this list a lot. I like what it's trying to do. So this list has 21 drops. 19. It just plays 3 of the Merryweather. So 19 1-drops. And it's not the whole list. I would call this an aggro list, but you play a bunch of 1-drops, and then you try to cheat out your tramp. So those of you who don't know this new card, you have to play both of these colors for it. So it's
one of the first time we're getting to see some of the Duel Link cards really show up and be prevalent here.
Yeah, so it's an Amber Emerald, and it costs 7, but it says you can pay 1 less for each character you have out. So you can play like 4 or 5 1-drops, and then play it for 2. And then whenever you play it, you can pretty much combo with Chernobog because you can draw a card for each character and then discard 1. So this deck is 60 characters, so you're going to be, if you draw 5, you discard 5. So you can quickly make Chernobog cost very cheap or free. And then you've got, how do you deal with that? You've already got the aggro, so you're going to have some amount of lore. And you've got Lilos in there to recur themselves. It's just a fun aggro deck, to be honest. And
it seems like it'd be very fast. Of course,
yeah, this deck also top 8'd at the CCS or SSG. Sorry, SSG 10K. 10.
We're really used to saying one of those, aren't
10
we?
10Ks, not 10K in this.
But yeah, like I said, the 1-drop Uninkable Lady that synergizes with Tramp, gets an additional lore whenever it quests if you have a Tramp in play. Then, of course, we see all the other synergies that we get with the 2-drop Tramp. If you have a Lady, you pay 1 less to play this. So, again,
that could be
like
a 1-drop, yeah. So if you
going very fast.
So you couldn't, call those 1-drops in a sense, because that's when you're going to be playing them. The Ward Prince John or Prince Philip on 3, that's a good card that evades some things like the big Sisu, because you can't ice block it or sapphire coil it down. So he's going to almost always get the quest once. And then the Dale also synergizes with the Chernobog, where when you play him, you can put top cards into your discard to give something -3 power. So then they're all characters. So
yeah, and like I said, same way we see so Tramp, the Tramp and the Dale there are going to like feed into Chernobog to help this deck go. Yzma again. Yzma also lets you, when you play it, to be able to draw a card, choose and discard again. So you're just kind of feeding that end game of having a pretty cheap or free Chernobog come out. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So I think that's the last deck list we have to look at. Metz, are there some other Emerald cards that you're kind of eyeballing through the Arcasia's Island set?
Nothing's really caught my eye, to be honest. There's been a lot of other colors that have gotten a lot, and I know we can scroll through them and see if anything pops out. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think again, we kind of talked about the Ink Geyser earlier. We know of that is something we're going to look at here. I like the Shere Khan right here.
The 4/4/4.
Yep, right here. That again, same way. Discard your hand when you play this character.
That could be good in that deck. Well, kind of good in that deck we just watched, but we don't want to empty-handed. But it could be a good finisher to there.
If you're talking about it, it's kind of it has a weird kind of place in the upper echelon of an aggro deck in Emerald, but not really sure if that's the fit. But I am interested in it. I think it's, again, it's crazy to look at and just look at 4 lore. I mean, I know we've seen like the Brave Little Tailor with 4 lore on it, and Maribel has 5.
Yeah, but that cost 8. Those cost, in Maribel you can't ever play. So
yeah, so it's weird to see like, okay, this is a card that could see play that quests for 4 as printed.
Yeah, and I think the Universal Shift Baymax, he's green, he's Emerald Sapphire, right? I think that card will definitely see play. Yep, there he is. So you can shift this on top of anything. So it's like that reverse morph. And he heals himself if you shift him. I think this card is definitely some decks that need to be able to sing a 5-drop or higher on turn 4. This will definitely play a part in it. So I'm just trying to think.
I've seen it. I've played against it a couple of times.
Or just have a 5/5 body quest for 2 and on 4 and say go.
Yeah. That, and again, just being able to heal itself when it's. I'm trying to think of what they shifted onto. It was something that I kind of goofed and left 1 health on. Just had 1 left, and I'm like, okay, they can't attack me, and then they're gonna shift into this. I'm like, I forgot this card existed, and now it's. Like you said, it's a 5/5 question for 2, and I've got to deal
with it. Gizmo Duck. This character can challenge ready damaged characters. So Emerald Steel might have some type of synergy with this, where you put damage on a bunch of characters with something, and then bring this in, and it can just fight stuff off.
It's again, like I said, that's going to give you the ability to do things like it's probably not the best way to do it, but again, to grab your swords or something that's going to kind of just do the spread damage to make everything able to challenge. This could challenge anything then at that point. So, opens up some options and may catch some people off guard with that. Let me see. So there's our fidget. I've seen someone playing with this too. Again, it's kind of gives you a little bit of problems. Again, that classic Emerald identity of being evasive, hard to deal with, and then whenever it quests, another chosen character gets evasive to the start of your next turn, so it's up in the air. You can't touch it now.
Or again, you can use it to take out if you have a big-bodied character, you can use it to take out a Genie or Elsa or Diablo that normally, this thing could take out Diablo, but maybe you want something else too. Maybe it has damage already.
I've seen it come in with rush character, and like you said, give it evasive, and then now you've got something you can take out, something that is evasive, and it's going to be a problem for you. Oh yeah, the Queen of Hearts, and so whenever another character is played, put a damage counter on it. This is going to shut down a lot of the little aggro decks that run things like one drop Lilo, or I'm trying to think of some of the other things that have again your Fred. This is an answer for a Fred that he just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Is this also the same color combination that we just saw? Was it also
the same as Fidget? Yep.
Okay, so
yeah, it's Emerald Ruby. So again, you've got.
Sorry, I meant the resist one that says it can challenge.
Oh no, that's an Emerald Steel.
That's unfortunate. That would go really really well with this card if they could be in the same deck.
I see where you were going with the idea. But no, again, like I said, this is a good card. Again, a unique effect. And this gets around resist because we're putting damage counters on the cards. We're not dealing damage, so that's going to help deal with some pesky resist characters like Calhoun, or this cuts a Smee down to having 2 willpower off the rip. So I think in Ruby Emerald, this could be a good card going forward. I think it's got a place, especially if you're shifting onto the 2-drop Rush Queen.
And the Emerald Ruby's always been a deck that you might see at locals and stuff, but it has never been like a meta deck. People always wanted to call it Christmas, and because the colors, and run evasives a bunch or something. It's just not really sure what it needs to get over the hump.
I think for Ruby Emerald, the color combination, I think a lot of these dual color cards sort of, I think they help them, because we kind of talked about it's a weird space with these being the first release of dual colors, that some of the colors combinations we expect, like Emerald Steel or Amber Steel, they have cards that are in the dual color that sort of help them, but I feel like they don't move the needle a whole lot for them. But the color combinations like Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, Amber, things like that, I feel like the dual color does a whole lot for those.
And this card up here, the Pacha, he could do well in the Emerald Steel list where we want to discard our opponents, so, and he can get that extra 2 lore.
Yeah. If you can quest him for 3 once.
Yeah, and he can sing all the three cost songs we have in there, so you can see some synergy there. And it's just real hard in that list to we already have 23 drops usually, and it's like
it's not a lot of room. Oh man,
we really haven't talked about Emerald Coil. That I think we'll see some play, because every time you ink, you can give something evasive, so you can just protect your aggro characters, and so they can't get quests, or they can quest and not get banished.
Yeah, you can freely challenge. It's going to be great, like a Amber Emerald aggro deck, because you're I guess up until it's low enough, because most of those like the hyper aggros kind of run at 3 to 4 ink, so it's going to get by. You're not scared of having uninkables in those decks anyways. I think I run ankles in it. And I think I could squeeze another one in for this card particularly.
Yeah, all the coils would, just repeated value turn after turn. I think this is probably the second or third best one, maybe second best to the Sapphire, but it'd be nice if this card was inkable, to be honest.
Yeah, it would.
It's the value you're getting out of it. I just don't know if it's worth an uninkable spot, but
I may have to try this out. Because again, in that hyper aggro list I run, I really like the 5-drop, the shift Pegasus, so I can give everything evasive for 1 turn and guarantee myself some lore. So, yeah, this may be something I kind of want to look at and consider squeezing in there. I think it could be a one-off.
Yeah, I can see that because you have a 2 or 3 lore quester and you're just giving it evasive every turn. If your opponent doesn't have it, anything evasive, then
the Olivia Flaversham or one of the piglets, something like that is. I mean, it would be worth its weight to be able to quest twice with it freely.
Yeah, and if you give something like Ward also, then you just literally can't get rid of it outside of challenging with evasive or a board wipe effect.
I want to go back down. I want to just look at these enchanteds for a second. It's just because I'm really digging the art on these. The Return of Hercules.
I think the Return of Hercules is a interesting card. I don't think it's great right now, but I think eventually we're going to get stronger characters. We're going to get a deck that this could go into that will love it. Maybe we get another card that says like opponents can't play characters on your turn or something like that, or not that they could anyways right now, and except for this case, but something along those lines. If you could stop your opponent from it, because the last thing you want is you put down something they put down to like a Maleficent dragon, and then you're like, well, all right. Or a big Thomas Hoa, or like it could backfire, but if you can discard their hand, it could be in that kind of show. But
maybe you've got to do a lot of work and play this, and then be able to have a beast or something out that can sing we don't talk about Bruno to just get it right back on or something. I don't know. It's a lot of ink, but I mean,
yeah, it costs 5 to play something for free. I mean, we need to.
He's
not really known to be a high cost deck at all. The highest thing I could think of is a Clarabelle, which you can already shift for 5.
Yeah, so like I said, you really gotta make it worth it. But like you said, in the future, I think it's got to play somewhere. Very unique effect. And then there's the Hero. That one, I like the art on Hero. This also is going to be one of our promos for set championships, I think.
Yep.
It's a different artwork than this one, but yeah, this one shifts for 5, and your Floodborn characters that have a card under it gain ward and evasive. So that's sort of that combination we've been talking about that kind of locks your opponent out of being able to interact with them unless they have evasive already.
Yeah, and this could go with the Baymax. That's also these colors, and you could have, shift those onto whatever, shift this hero in, and then you just have a bunch of big evasive warded stuff. So deal with it with be prepared or lose kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's quest for 3, so that's nothing to sneeze at in that kind of deck and set up, especially.
Yeah, and the Baymax are 2, so you easily are 5 plus. Just from 2 characters you get 5, and they both have ward and evasive, and yeah, it's a problem real quick.
It is. I like that. They actually in part of the comprehensive rules for Lorcana, they one of the recent updates was actually about what constitutes a card being under another card. Basically, the way that this stack works.
You couldn't just be like, put it underneath of it and like, oh, well, it's under there.
It's under there, yeah. It's I like I said, glad that they went ahead and preemptively tried to stop some of the angle shooting on that. The other enchanted we have here, the Mad Hatter or Ruby whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you can draw a card. This is like the exact opposite of the original Mad Hatter from the first chapter. I think it was whenever he was challenged, you could draw a card.
Yeah, that was strong card is also. I think that one quested for 3.
Yeah,
Mad Hatter, and it's just very strong and limited. Saw a little bit of constructed play, but not since set 1.
no, but I like the artwork on this one. I think it's a very fun looking card, and
Yeah,
Unenchanted,
the
I would be
art,
happy to pull.
yeah, art is it's been pretty good on this set compared to some of the more recent ones.
Yeah, like I said, there were a lot of people that weren't thrilled about the Azurite Sea style with the kind of treasure map looking thing. So I'm glad to see a return to full color imaging, and like I said, I do like this one particularly. I think it's just a really cool looking card. And then we have the Tramp. This is one we saw this earlier in the other the standard version, not the enchanted, in one of the deck lists earlier. If you have the lady in play, you get to play 1 less for this. Like we said, make it a 1-drop. And when you play it, chosen character gets +1 for each other character you have in play. So a very powerful, in the right scenario, 2-drop. So
yeah, you can use this to like trade up with something else if you have a bunch of characters out and you've got a pesky something to deal with. You can make your 1 power stuff have a ton. So,
like we were saying, a lot of these Emerald cards aren't designed for challenging, so that every little bit helps.
yeah, taking out a location, even like that. You can, hey, give this +6 and take out a manor or take out a library.
You gotta have it. Other than, like I said, Cricky and this are kind of just helping buff everything up a little bit. I like to. This is another just a good example of I think this is one of the properties that everyone kind of was wanting to come to Lorcana was Lady of the Tramp, and now that it's here, starting it off right with a good Enchanted and Emerald.
I think that's all the cards.
I do. That is we were able to talk about all the Emerald cards here.
That was a lot of Emerald cards.
A lot of Emerald cards.
I was like going through whenever I was pulling those cards up for you guys, and I was like, oh my gosh, this Pacha is actually kind of good for like a discard deck, but I don't think it would be very good in like traditional discard, just because like Met said, it does have a lot of 3
Got
drop.
a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Like it has potential, but it's definitely not like a traditional I definitely think it would be really good in like the Bend to My Will list, maybe. Just because like I don't think that one, like, you don't have a ton of stuff that's like competing, and a lot of times you're just trying to like turn stuff sideways in that deck. So, but yeah, that is our Emerald episode. Yeah, lots of great information. Emerald is we actually, so one card that I did want to give an honorary mention to because it gave me PTSD in set 1 was Cusco no Touchy. That card is probably like the bane of my existence, but shout out to Breezy because Cusco is like literally his favorite card. But yeah, no, that card is like the OG of like Ward and everything you absolutely hate in Emerald. I remember because I played Song in set 1, so yeah, Ward is.
Yeah, back then he was like a $15 base
Yeah, he was
non-foil, and
crazy.
he just was like, "Be prepared, or I'm getting 3 lower." And they
Yeah,
were.
be prepared or bust. Literally, I think that's like where that
It was
phrase
the
came
only
from.
card to deal with it, and
Yeah, or double grab your sword. That was it. Like it was
true,
double grab
yeah.
your sword or be prepared or bust. So yeah, no. But that's our Emerald episode, and we are so happy to have had Metzboomer up on our episode this week. First time, but he is a Ohana member. He just kind of sits in the shadow sometimes. Um As always, we would like to say thank you to our House of Cards, our sponsor, House of Cards, out in Winston-Salem. They are available on TCG Player. They have tons of inventory if you guys need anything for Lorcana or any other card game you're interested in. We also, don't forget, have coaching down below. Our Metafy link is available on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. We do coaching. It's kind of a toss up who you get, or you can request a specific person on our team. We also, don't forget, have Gem Tech accessories, 10% off down below. There's a link for that as well for all of your TCG needs, book bags, deck boxes, card sleeves, and a few play mats. We all kind of swear, well, most of us on Ohana swear by the book bags, I think.
Bags.
Everybody either wants one or has one. It's kind of like the consensus there. But yeah, 10% off, and they have tons of awesome deck boxes. We love them so much. So we will be back in 2 weeks with our Ruby video. And we will see you guys then. Bye bye.